Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Tonight's episode is for a very specific audience. Do you like video games? Do you like video games from the United Kingdom? Do you like video games from the United Kingdom that start with the word space? Do you like video games from the United Kingdom that start with the word space and they're from October 1982? Because that's what we're doing tonight. It's all space games from October 1982. We were last playing Space Ace, and let's see what our next game is. The next game is Space Hawks for the BBC Micro. Let's check it out. Here's the cassette for Space Hawks. Majority of the games we're playing are going to be cassette, and wow, that front of the box is, I think, one of the best I think I've seen on the BBC Micro. Some of the other companies that do BBC Micro games, they're putting a screenshot on the front, but this is artwork. It looks like a futuristic hawk made of a robot material. So cool. So this one is the 32K version of it, and there you can see it's just the cassette case from Computer Concepts, and I believe this is the very first Computer Concepts game we've seen so far. What other artwork do we have for Space Hawks? I love the artwork though. Already right off the bat looks good, and then we just have an example of the screenshot. All right, let's pop it and play Space Hawks. This is by Paul Hiscock at sometime in October 1982. Way to go, Paul. There it is, POM software. And you can see the controls are X and Z to move right and left, and then return to fire. So pretty simple controls. I think we can handle it. This is our 33rd game we've played on the BBC Micro. Ready, set, go. Whoa, wait a second. Joysticks? They rarely ask for joysticks on the BBC Micro. I'm gonna have to say no for right now, but the fact that you can play on a joystick is awesome. All right, let's start with skill level 3 and see what's up. All right, so there you go. Move left, move right, move fire. Is it just Space Invaders? Oh, no, here they come. They're flying in. It's Galaxian. Galaxian-like. They have animated characters, which is a nice touch. The fly-down animation is a little bit more to be desired. Oh, music, though, is pretty good. They're blending in those thumping beats of Space Invaders. Wow. Really, really impressive. Wait. Did I just not? I should have died there. So maybe the collision detection isn't perfect. Whoa, it just got really intense at the end. It goes so fast. Okay, so we can die. Maybe the kamikaze's collision detection isn't so good, but the shots are all right. Go, go, go. Oh yeah, but very, very responsive. And because this is joystick controlled, or you can use the joystick, makes this a notch better when you think of all the games you can be playing right now across home computers. Oh gosh. Oh man, it's so fast. And it looks like what we have here is what you see is what you get as far as the gameplay goes. So while this is the first game we've seen by Computer Concepts and Paul Hiscock, the joystick control is very rare. Of all the games we've played so far on the BBC Micro, this is the 6th game that has joystick or joystick enabled. And the companies that did that was Acorn Soft, Superior Software, and Program Power. So I'm amazed they got the joystick going for this one. Yeah, for the Micro, it's pretty good. Sound effects is also what takes it up a notch too. So this is obviously a Galaxian variant. This is our 78th Galaxian-style game we've ever played on the show. Oh, and we restart, we couldn't pick the skill level again. I wonder if we have to break and then come back in to change the skill level up. But this is level 3. It's got a few different ones, and in my playtest, all it does is make it faster and faster. But for moving left, right, and fire, it's good. So far, this is the 3rd Galaxian variant we've already played on the BBC Micro, after Arcadians and Galaxians. I would give those the nod as being better. So this is not as good as Galaxians and Arcadians that you could already be playing on the BBC Micro, but this is still pretty average for all the ones you could see at the time. Curtis is saying solid 3. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. Of all the games you could be playing across all home computers or micros, I got to give it a 3. And I'm looking in the chat, yeah, a couple 3s. Oh, 3.5 from Steve. Very nice. Very nice, Space Hawks. The front of the box is another nod. It's very, very well done for a game on your BBC Micro. All right. That's right, James. All right, our next game is On the Dragon 32, this is Space Monopoly. Space Monopoly, we played Monopoly, I think, only once as a video game up to this point, maybe twice. Let's take a look at the box for Space Monopoly. Doesn't look like Space Monopoly to me. Monopolize the Milky Way. Become a galactic mega billionaire for the Dragon 32. This one was our 29th game we've played on the Dragon 32, and we've actually already seen this game, but I won't reveal it until we get in the game, unless someone from the chat reveals. So here it is. There it is. Oh, we actually have the 3D one? Nice. Let's see it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Space Monopoly. Very, very sci-fi-ish. Dragon 32 delivers in some form or another. Have anything else for artwork for Space Monopoly? Yeah, there's our cassette we're going to pop in the Dragon 32 to play. This one's by Microdeal, and for the UK, this is Microdeal Cornwall. The only other game we've seen that was labeled Microdeal Cornwall was Escape, was the Ken Kalish version on the Dragon 32. How do we play Space Monopoly? It shows us how to load on the inside sleeve. And then after you press load, the object of color Space Monopoly, now they're adding color to it, is to amass the greatest amount of money. This is accomplished by establishing a vast interstellar shipping lanes and purchasing stock in the companies that control those trade routes. During the course of the game, stock appreciates in value as the shipping companies become larger. Also, smaller companies can be merged into larger ones. Wait a second. So this is a sci-fi trading game, but it's a sci-fi trading game that incorporates the stock market. I don't think we've seen that for any video game. So if you're into stock trading and sci-fi games, then this is for you. I'll just leave this up here. If you want to pause and read the rest of the manual, there's your lore for Space Monopoly. Make sure to bring some friends along for you, too. All right, let's see what you got. Let's pop in and play Space Monopoly. This is originally by Spectral Associates, published by Microdeal Cornwall at sometime in October 1982. So this is going to load cassette, and we're going to fast forward through the cassette, not wait for it to go, and run it. This is the 14th game we've seen by Microdeal here on the show, and as we boot this up, you may notice we've played this before. This is also the 26th game we've played by Spectral Associates already. Yep, we've seen this one before too. It's the identical game that we've already seen. And it's still going. Can I just push enter to go, please? Thank you. We don't have to wait for the whole thing to load. I think it just keeps going. All right, so you can play up to 2 to 4 players in the game, and I'm just going to go with 2 because this is not going to take very long. Oh, we can name it ourselves. Nice. I'll be Chrono, and the last person in chat was Steve. Steve will play with me on the Dragon 32. As the game loads up, this should look familiar. We've already seen this exact game. It was called Color Space Traders in April of 1981. So this is, once again, a Coco game brought over to the Dragon 32. And as far as like merchant games or trading games, or I mean, even the stock is kind of interesting, but the rest of this is very, very bare bones. It is lighting up and making noise, but the game is more or less like Othello. But I'm like downsizing it. You do have to amass money and take over different areas of the galaxy. But this is the galaxy, what you're seeing right here. You're moving around and gathering each piece. And if you play with multiple people, have different colors to take over the different places. And whoever has the most colors then wins. And that's all I'm going to show for the game. As we get the bleeps and bloops, I will not play a full game of Space Monopoly here on Chronologically Gaming. As far as video games go that you could be playing right now, there is better space trading games, merchant games, and while the last 2 games, Color Space Traders and this one, we didn't play very long, it's still, there's much better games that you could be playing out there. I'm going to rate this the same rating we rated on the TRS-80 color computer in 1981, and that's 1.5 stars. I would say this is bad, considering the other games that you could be playing of this caliber or genre. Yes, I know, right? We should leave that on for ambiance. I like it, Pal Puck. Great idea. Maybe we could make it part of the countdown at the beginning of the show. So there you go. That's Space Monopoly. But there's more space games to come. Let's see what's next. Yes, the Micro from the United Kingdom, as if there ever was a Micro. The Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is Space Raiders. Let's check it out. This should be not be confused with Space Raiders on the Apple II from United Software of America in August 1981, or Space Raiders on the Coco by Mark Data Products in March 1982, or Space Invaders, because I think there's another term for that. It also shouldn't be confused with Space Raiders on the Emerson Arcadia 2001 in June 1982. That was a shoot 'em up. So we have a Space Raiders on the Coco that was like Space Invaders, and then we have a Space Raiders on the Arcadia home console that was a shoot 'em up. This one is a completely new game. This is Space Raiders by Scion Software. Front of the box is excellent. Way to go, Scion. But it already looks Space Invaderish with when all the ships line up like that. It just gives me the feels for that. This is our 105th game we've played on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is a computer that came out this year, or at least mail order in April, and we already have played 105 games for it. Just amazing. Your skill is all that's stopping successive waves of aliens from destroying Earth. Use your gun base to attack, shelter behind buildings, move out and blast the passing alien spaceship. Full color, high resolution graphics with sound. We're getting a little kind of old hearing the high resolution graphics. I understand on the Apple II, but Sinclair ZX Spectrum, I don't know if you can say that, but we'll see what happens when we boot it up. What other artwork do we have for Space Raiders? There's our box. We have the cassette that we're going to pop in our ZX Spectrum to play. So cool. Scion Software and Sinclair Research, I believe, gets us this one. The manual we have is just a homebrew manual defending the Earth with our gun base from attacks of aliens. Shows us how to load them up and then explains the controls, I believe. There it is. So the controls are Z and X to move left and right. And we're going to see those controls on micros for a while. And then space to fire. I think I got it. At least for the keyboard. So there's lots of other versions. Sinclair Research did all the versions that we can see there. Let's play some Space Raiders by Scion Software, published by Sinclair Research at some time in October 1982. This is the 14th game we've seen. Whoa, wait a second. Wait a second. It's working with a joystick. Whoa, hold on. Hold the phone. This has a joystick plugged into the ZX Spectrum, and it's working. I thought it was going to be keyboard controlled only, but we have a joystick on the ZX Spectrum. This gets tons of brownie points because a lot of these games we've been playing with keyboard only, and it's that chiclet keyboard using the cursor keys. This is using the joystick. And oh, it's Space Invaders if there ever was Space Invaders. Here, let's get the outside line here. All right, so like I was saying, this is the 14th game we played that is by Sinclair Research, and the 11th game by Scion Software. But man, oh man, this is definitely Space Invaders. Your ship's a little wide, and so it makes it a slightly challenging. But sound effects and color are good. Oh, I can't believe I missed that one. Let's see. I want to get the outside. They're moving left and right pretty quick, and then their shots cancel out your shots. Say we got one life left. Nice. So fresh alien designs, they're not exactly ripping off Space Invaders. Space Raiders is its own thing. When the UFO shows up, he just putters along. We got the UFO. Oh man, great sound effect though. Yeah. Thanks so much, Curtis, for the comment. Now, can we finish it? I was going to finish up with some more fun stuff to say, but it's last one. It's going to go slow. Look, while the UFO's there, the other alien's going slow. It's not going as fast as it would go. Whoa! Yeah, crank up the volume on your ZX Spectrum for that one. Your mom will love it. Yeah, this is great. Barebone Space Invaders, done very well. The controller, though. The controller. I gotta give some props to the controller here on the ZX Spectrum. Space Invaders is nothing new. This is the 97th game we've played on Chronologically Gaming that is like Space Invaders. Not to be confused with official Space Invaders. I'm talking 97th game that is like Space Invaders. That's how many games look and play like Space Invaders. But I mean, to be honest, Galaxian was like Space Invaders, and all the Galaxian games that are like, I mean, Space Invaders is the granddaddy of all shooters. So there's tons and tons of games we played that are pretty close to this. Here on the ZX Spectrum, we've already played some Space Invaders games. Alien Command was one that we played. We gave that one a pretty low rating. Space Intruders was the other one, and that one was slightly better than Alien Command. And then Spectral Invaders, I would say of all the games you could be playing right now on the ZX Spectrum that are like Space Invaders. Oh, we can hit the fire key? What? The joystick. And not only any joystick, this is not using the cursor joystick. This is the very first game we played on the ZX Spectrum that's using the Sinclair joystick. It's crazy. And it does play and work really well. Which, by the way, the other game, Spectral Invaders, did use a cursor joystick. So it's another game you could play with a joystick. But, whoa, this is pretty close to Spectral Invaders. So if you want to see them side by side, we have links where you can watch us play that game from Chronologically Gaming. But this is pretty close to that game. So I'm going to rate it the same as what I would have given Spectral Invaders. Maybe even a notch above. Yeah. The shields do look like Swiss cheese. Man, but the joystick is what's really so impressive about this. And it is Space Invaders, and maybe, just maybe, this was the first time you were introduced to Space Invaders. Was Space Raiders your first Space Invaders experience? All right, so of all the games you could be playing across all home computers all over the world right now, there are some Space Invaders style games I've rated around the average range, and I'm still going to do the same. This one is very well done, but it's still very average if you consider all the other games up to this point. So I'm going to say 3 stars. Usually I'd say 2.5 for Space Invaders games, because, you know, even the bare bones Space Invaders games, but I'll say 3. That joystick is what really helps this one. All right, so after Space Raiders, what's our next space game? Our next space game is on the BBC Micro. This is Space Maze. Let's see what Space Maze has for us. Shouldn't be surprised if you're familiar with a few games, but the front of the box doesn't really explain anything. There's a ship that's on fire. Maybe we're inside the ship and it's a maze. This is my program power. Yeah, they usually do the box that looks like that. Oh yeah, there you go. That'll explain everything once you see the screenshot. We have a few different versions for this one. Let's pop in and play Space Maze by Jay Barfield, published by Program Power at sometime in October 1982. We got to do a little bit of a code to get the game to go in. And then once it loads up, then we have a few more things after that. Here's our 33rd game on the BBC Micro that we played on Chronologically Gaming. Good night, that's a lot of red. And then we do have story. You're an intrepid adventurer from Earth. Caught in a fierce magnetic storm, you crash landed on the legendary labyrinth of Titan. Sweet! This takes place on Titan. The rescue services have been sent to aid you due to the storm. They cannot land to pick you up. They have, however, sent a transmat probe, and all you need to do is touch this device and you'll be transported to the orbiting fleet and safety. However, since the elder race... I'm going to stop there. I'll let you read the other ones after that. I'm going to make a note that this is taking place on Titan, which is kind of cool. But we have bloodthirsty Froogs who are going to attack any living thing on sight, awoken from their slumber. This is awesome. The following list is a summary of input. So we move our character around using this, F-O-L-R, and in lowercase, by the way, lowercase L, lowercase R, to turn around left and right. Oh, and there's a wait key. Does that mean this is real time? We select a difficulty between 1 and 8. I'm going with difficulty 1 to play this. Maybe Thanos will show up, Curtis. We'll have to see. All right, so we have to wait approximately 20 seconds. While we're waiting, this is Program Power's 22nd game we've played on the show. So already a lot out there by Program Power. And, oh, we're already in. Now, where in the world are we? So what you do first is you push H to see the top-down map. And I might lose points. I don't know if they're giving us points, but you hit H. You wait a little bit, and there you go. So we're in the map. So we're facing north, which means we're staring at the wall. We are the top left X. And we're trying to get to where the exclamation point is, and the other blue character is the Frood. So ready? We need to turn right, I believe. Yes. Wait for it. There we go. So we turn right. We can see where we are now. If we hit F, we'll go forward, which means we'll be staring at the wall. Yep, there it is. So there's a little lag. You do the command, but then you have to wait for a sec. So you watch. We wait. Yep. And we waited, and then we'll do it again. We'll go forward, and when I go forward, it's going to blink for a sec, and then, so it's a slow-paced maze game of all the maze games we've played so far on the show. So let's go forward again. Forward. And if you do the incorrect command, then it bleeps at you. All right, so let's go left. And we're making our way through the 3D maze. And if I ever want to, I can always hit H, show the top down of the map, and they give you options of you can stand still and turn around, left and right, or you can turn and move at the same time. It's got to be basic if it's this slow. That's what I would think too, Curtis. Someone will tell me in the chat. All right, let's go forward. I really want to get to the door so you can see some of the animation. All right, so let's go to the left. Wait, left. There's the door. All right, keep going forward. And every time I move forward, it blanks. We don't even get the cool redraw animation. It just blanks and then goes to the next one. Okay, so let's go forward. And then we want to go through the door, which I believe is O. Oh, yeah, that's the cool part. But to tell you the truth, we've already seen better 3D games like Escape. Ken Kalish has still the best one. All right, so let's go. We have another door on the right. What happens if I go R? Is that directly on the door? No, that's to the wall. So go back left. And then go forward. And then go to the right to go into this door. There we go. So you see how it works. You make your way through the maze, and we've already played so many 3D mazes here on Chronologically Gaming that I now break them apart into two groups. We have the 3D mazes that are like Pac-Man, arcade action kind of games, 3D maze. And then you have maze games like this that are just just get yourself to the end of the maze, or puzzle style games that we've seen since the arcade a long time ago. Oh, is this a dead end? See, that's where you got to watch. You got to look at the map. Wait for it. There we go. Okay, yeah, it was a dead end. So we weren't supposed to go in that door on the right. We were supposed to go to the second door on the right. Don't forget it. All right, so of all the games you could be playing right now on home computers, we've already played these kinds of 3D mazes. This is the 15th puzzle-like 3D maze game, or just get yourself to the end of the maze from a first-person perspective. It's slower paced, but we've already seen other slower paced games. In fact, there's another 3D maze game on the BBC Micro you could play right now by IJK that's faster. So there's a faster way to play a 3D maze game on this Micro specifically, but to rate this against all the computers that you could play out there, I would still say it's around the average range. So looking at the chat, I see 2.5. Yeah, the redraw, I don't mind if the screen blanks, but I do enjoy the slow draw in, and we played games that were slower drawing in than this one. So yeah, 2.5 from Curtis. The other cool factor is you have something else in the maze, not just you trying to get to the end, but even then we played games like 3D Monster Maze where monsters are chasing you. So I'm going to say 2.5 stars of all the games you could play right now across all home computers. It's still average, but just slightly less than average than usual. All right, so after Space Maze, we have one more space game for tonight. Our last space game is Space Warp, also for the BBC Micro. Let's check it out. Starting with the box. Nice, Bug Bite. The old school Bug Bite logo, by the way, up there. All right, so Space Warp is a completely different breed of game, and this one's going to be a difficult one to showcase. But you got to admit, the front of the box is doing yet again another ripoff of the Millennium Falcon or some other sci-fi ship. Man, this is what's great about this era of gaming. It's just anything goes. You just do whatever you want to do, and then later worry about legal. It's so fun. All right, so if you look at the rest of the box info, it gives us one example of what the game is like, and that's where I'm not going to be able to do it justice. All right, let's pop in and play some Space Warp. This is by Bug Bite Software at sometime in October 1982. We're once again on the BBC Micro. This is our 34th game for the BBC Micro. And it's Bug Bite's 18th game we've seen, and that's including all ports that Bug Bite's done. Ooh, wait a second. Hold on, the front of the box was the Millennium Falcon, and then we got the USS Enterprise when we get in the game. They're just blending both Star Wars and Star Trek. That's right, Curtis. Who cares about copyright? That doesn't exist right now. I wonder when I'm going to start getting copyright strikes on my show. So it begins with just constant bleeps. All right, we'll hit any key to continue. Let's keep going. So while the front of the box had the Millennium Falcon, the true origin of this game is it's a Star Trek fan game. And this is the 61st Star Trek fan game we've played on the show. Not official Star Trek, just someone wanted to make a game that's like Star Trek. But there's also something else. This is one of those Star Trek strategy games. So it's not just a fan game, it is a Star Trek strategy game. And this is the 54th game that plays like those Star Trek strategy games that we played here on Chronologically Gaming. That's how many Star Trek-like games. All right, so this is Space Warp, and I'm going to warn you, this is the most text of any video game that we've ever played. Like when we boot a game up, sometimes it has a few screens of text. We understand if you don't have the manual, you want to read through the game. This game takes the cake. Of all video games so far, this is the most text that you would read before you play a video game, bar none. Are you ready? I am not going to read through the whole thing. I'm just going to take it's going to take a long time to go through. Here we go. We have the Space Warp Simulator, the guidelines to assume control of the ship. We have the scenario selection. It explains all the different scenarios. The Scenario 1, Scenario 2, the Romulan incident, Scenario 3, the Great Galactic War, Scenario 4, the piracy outbreak, Scenario 5. So you have 6 different scenarios that you'll choose from the outset, and it explains all 6 scenarios. And then it shows you all of your opponents. You'll have Klingons. That's right. They're not shy of using actual Star Trek terms here. They have Klingons here. They explain what the Klingon attacking is like. They explain what the Romulans are like. If you encounter pirates, what pirates are like. It explains how to operate your starship. You use dilithium crystals. Yes, it's so Star Trek. it's saturated in Star Trek. It explains the different systems you're going to use on your Star Trek. The battle computer, the warp engines, the impulse engines, the scanners, the damage control, life support. It explains your weaponry, the phasers, photon torpedoes, the ship's computer, the helm control, the battle station's display. You have 6 different shields. It explains how the phasers work. It explains the status codes when you're going to see on the screen. It explains all this and the movement, docking with star bases, your scanners, what the helm scanner's like, the battle display, status, the points, how you rack up points in the game, the helm console. Can you believe this? This is the most text of any video game we've ever seen on the show. We have the battle display, what all that means. And all these controls are all going to take place on your BBC Micro keyboard. There's the ship's computer and all the controls for that. So this game is also a very rare find. I have not found any manual or inside sleeve of Space Warp on the BBC Micro. So all this is all in the game. There's not another reference that I could be looking at. And then it says, "Good luck, Commander." And then finally it boots the game up. Oh, it does have copyright. What do you know? Did you see that? Copyright audio? How are they going to copyright the game when it's ripping off Star Trek? So it asks you what level of difficulty you want. We're going to do difficulty 1 because this game's just crazy. And then what kind of scenario we want to play. So now you can do the first scenario, which is scenario 6. It's just a routine patrol. Very, very simple. You were counting, James? I love it. That's right. 52 pages, and it's the max. So moving forward, if you could just be on every show, James, in the live chat, and just see if there's any other games that beat 52 pages. We might do it someday, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. All right, so I'm going to go with Klingon Invasion because I'm not going to go very far anyway. This requires lots and lots of prep time to actually get a good idea of how the game works. It does use the arrow keys, the cursor keys of the BBC Micro to navigate, and then all the other functions of the ship's computer, and that's all the different the helm, the battle stations, and the ship's computer all use the function keys of the BBC Micro. Here we go. Yes, we'll hit any key for sure. Look at that. Just tons and tons of stats. So as you move around, it begins with the cursor keys, able to move the cursor around slowly. And this is how you go from one place to another. And then when you want to switch to different views, you can go between the helm, battle station, or the ship's computer. And then you do what you do with other Star Trek games. You warp to other sectors. You fight the Klingons or Romulans or pirates like they described on the 52 pages. You fight them. It's strategy only to move around. So as far as the action in battle, the battle takes place with, I believe, turn-based. But to find someone that's played this game and actually understood the concept is so rare. So this is a very rare sight to be able to see this game, but to be able to play it in its entirety as you would in 1982, that's very, very difficult to do. All right, so of all the Star Trek games we played up to this point, There's 54 that we played here on the show. Some of the best so far have been Galactic Attack on the Apple II, Star Trek 3 on the TRS-80 color computer, Video Trek 88 for MS-DOS, which I would say is the best way to play Star Trek right now if you have a IBM PC or PC booter. So this is good. This is a very good with the scenarios, and you can see how much complexity it had based on the 52 pages, James? All that shows how complex the game is. But yes, right now it's showing black and white because we're on this video mode mainly. When you switch to the other ones, it does switch to color. So there's different video modes it's going to switch between based on what scanning you're doing. So a very, very difficult game to showcase here on Chronologically Gaming, and because it's one of those games we could be sitting down for hours figuring out how to play. So it is impressive still. Of all the games you could be playing right now, it's rough because it is a Star Trek strategy game. We played plenty of those. But yes, yeah, this would be really, really nice. If you owned a BBC Micro, this would be your de facto way to play one of the Star Trek games. Charlie's even throwing out 4. I love it. So because we don't have a lot to go on of what it's really like to play and dive into the game, I'm already seeing 4s thrown out in the chat. That's nice. I'm not going to be as kind unless someone wants to come with me with a video or some description of how the game works, all the different game modes, and how well it works. So I'm actually going to say 3.5 stars. We booted it up. We have an idea. We took a look at all 52 pages that you could pause through, but Space Warp is a game that I would need to spend more time to really give an accurate rating on. But I really enjoyed the 4-star ratings from the chat. That's pretty fun. All right. So from one UK Micro to another, it's time to put our quest to play every single video game on pause. But you got to turn into next episode. Our next episode on Chronologically Gaming, we're playing a game called Snake that is not a Snake game. And for the first time, we're going to play a combo pack that has Frogger on one side of the cassette and Pac-Man on the other. I'm not saying it's a game that blends 2 genres. I'm saying you get 2 games in one. You get Pac-Man on one side of the cassette, you flip it over, and you got Frogger on the other. Is it going to be a dream come true? You'll have to tune in to find out. That's it for today, and like I always say, let's keep these games alive. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.